Syracuse holds on to beat Notre Dame. Let's talk about it right here on Locked On Syracuse.
You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everyone, to the Locked On Syracuse podcast. I'm Jackson Holzer, and man, did Syracuse survive. And thank you for making us your first listen of every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers join today, and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started. Woo! Everyone breathe a sigh of relief. Syracuse did, in fact, win the game, and that is all that matters. Take the win. The Orange beat the Irish 88-85 on Saturday, and Syracuse at one point led by 29 points. And it ended up being a 3-point game, and Notre Dame had a chance to tie in the dying seconds. Should you be worried? Should you be concerned? The defense, the offense, whatever. But first and foremost, just breathe. Sigh of relief. Syracuse did what it had to do. As I stated on Friday, Syracuse couldn't really gain much from winning, right? They could win this game by 150 points. They can win it by 1,000,000. And they're standing for making the NCAA tournament, making the NIT wasn't going to change much, if at all. But had the Orange lost this game, had they lost, that would have been a death nail for Syracuse. The only way they would have been able to get in is if they win the ACC tournament. That would have been it. That's it. Plain and simple. That's it. But they found a way to win. Yes, it was a tale of two halves. Did Syracuse put together a complete 40 minutes? No, and Coach Autry led off his press conference by saying, we got to figure it out. And it was almost a carbon copy of the NC State game, where Syracuse has a great first half, and in the second half, they're on their heels. But both times, the important thing is that while the Orange weren't perfect, they found a way to get it done in the end. And yeah, I watched back because I posted it on Twitter about, I don't just take the win, right? And people were saying, well, what about the defensive breakdowns? Were there defensive breakdowns? Yes. There were absolutely defensive breakdowns in this one. But at the end of the day, some of the shots that Notre Dame hit, you got to give Notre Dame some credit here. You don't score 56 points and a half just from bad defense by Syracuse. Braden Shrewsbury and Marcus Burton could not miss in the second half. Couldn't miss no matter what. There were multiple instances where Quadir Copeland has a hand right in Shrewsbury's face, and it doesn't matter. It just flat out didn't matter. And I was stunned. Because I could not believe that these two players were willing Notre Dame back into the game. Willing them completely. There was a Marcus Burton and one where, Judah Mintz probably shouldn't have fouled him. But at the end of the day, I do not know how Marcus Burton got that 12-footer to go. He's fading away from the basket. A hand is right in his face, and he was fouled on top of it. And he still found a way to get the and one over Judah Mintz. I understand there were some breakdowns, but let's give credit to Notre Dame, specifically Marcus Burton and Braden Shrewsbury, for going completely bonkers in the second half. Completely bonkers. And so at the end of the day, that's really why I say just take the win and enjoy it. Breathe a sigh of relief. Was it easy? No. Did you expect it to be easy? Going into the game, no. But, when they're up 29 points, I thought it would probably be pretty easy from there. And Coach Autry mentioned something that was kind of interesting. He said that the three at the end of the half by Notre Dame was a bad omen. And Notre Dame, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Notre Dame hit a buzzer beater three at the end of the first half. And it capped off a 9-0 run to end the half. And to that point, that's where Syracuse had built a 29-point lead. So Notre Dame goes on a 9-point run, and now it's a 20-point game at halftime. And then Coach Autry says those first few minutes, we knew that Notre Dame was going to come out swinging, and those first few minutes would be very important. I don't think that Syracuse just didn't come out ready. I think it's more of credit to Notre Dame. They wanted to spoil Jim Boeheim Day, which I'll get into in a second. You just got to tip your cap sometimes. You really do. And I don't want to be negative about a win. They won the game. Let's just enjoy the fact that they won. Well, what happens when they play a good team and they do this? Well, I don't know if you consider NC State that good, but they basically did the same thing against NC State and they won. And so you never really know what you're going to get from this Syracuse team. So when they win, just enjoy it, right? I mean, against Georgia Tech, Syracuse couldn't put together any good minutes in that game. Against North Carolina, they play the best 40-minute stretch of their entire season, and it's not even particularly close. In the Notre Dame game, Syracuse built up a 29-point lead. We're all having a party. It's a celebration, and then the Irish all of a sudden have a chance to tie it with 10 seconds left. Just enjoy the win, guys. Just enjoy the win. And something that really bothered me during it, this goes out to Coach Shrewsbury of Notre Dame. What on earth are you doing calling timeout with 1.2 seconds left in the game? What are you doing calling timeout? What are you doing? For those that forgot or don't remember, Kyle Cuff grabs the rebound for Syracuse with about a second remaining to basically clinch the game. Notre Dame fouls him, and now he's going to the line for the 1-and-1. But it's college basketball. You can't advance the ball like in the NBA past half court. And Coach Shrewsbury just decides to call timeouts. This drives me nuts. I mean, what are you going to draw up there, Coach? What are you going to draw up there? You're just calling timeout for no reason. No reason whatsoever, Coach. And that really pissed me off. Because, of course, Kyle Cuff misses the 1-and-1, but Notre Dame has no play that they can run. They can't run any play. There's less than a second on the clock, so there was a full court heave at the end of the game, which, of course, lands short. So that drove me nuts. And ultimately, at the end of the day, Syracuse found a way to win. Syracuse found a way to get the job done. And to me, that's all that matters. And coming up, one player who really deserves a lot of credit for this one is Justin Taylor. And we're going to talk about it after this. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bets. That's $150 if your bet wins. Bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and more. Hey, by the way, if you believe in what Coach Fran Brown is doing with Syracuse football, you can go on FanDuel right now and bet the Orange to win the ACC. That's right, win the conference. Right now, the odds are at plus 4,200. Get in it while you can. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and it's now available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. Welcome back, everyone. For those that are listening and for those that are watching, I'm still here. I haven't left. Jackson Holzer with you guys here on the Locked On Syracuse podcast, talking about Syracuse's 88-85 win over Notre Dame on Saturday. And one guy who really deserves so much credit, so much, is Justin Taylor. That's right, I said it, Justin Taylor. Can you believe it? Justin Taylor. Now, I'm not going to hide from it. I'm not going to pretend that the past isn't the past. I'm not going to run from it. I've been a massive Justin Taylor critic this season. But right now is not about criticism. I thought that was the best he's looked since the beginning of the season on Saturday. I truly do. And it's not just what the box score says. You know, he had 10 points. He was 4-4 from the field. He had a couple and ones, and he made his free throws. It's not just about what the box score says. See, I was there courtside, and I was watching, and his defense, getting in the lane, disrupting passes, he was everywhere. He was a brick wall on defense. He deserves nothing but respect for Saturday's performance. He was terrific. And I said on Twitter that Justin Taylor deserves his flowers, and I got a little pushback. Got a little pushback from someone saying, you know, he made 4 bunnies. Throw him a parade. To that I say, listen, I understand that, you know, the shots that he hit weren't the most difficult shots in the world. They weren't. Not trying to sit here and tell you that he had, you know, circus shot after circus shot. And he was hitting everything. It's not like that. He wasn't like that Bryant game. People remember that Bryant game last year where he had 20-something, I think it was 27 points. And it was like, oh my goodness, this is like the next like great shooter of Syracuse right here. This is the next guy that we're going to go to for every single three-pointer that we need. It's him, right? No, of course. Saturday wasn't like that. He had 10 points, cool, and he made 4 layups. But what I said to the guy was, you know, sometimes it's just about seeing the ball go in. Sometimes it's about seeing it go in. Whether it's a jump shot, a three-pointer, a free throw, a dunk, a layup, it doesn't matter. Sometimes for a basketball player to break out of a funk, they need to just see the ball go in any way. I don't know if Justin Taylor can do what he can do this again on Tuesday against Virginia Tech. I don't know, and I think we're all rooting for it to happen, but we don't know. But for this game against Notre Dame, Syracuse does not win it without his contributions. Period. End of story. He was active in his 20-plus minutes of play. He was active on the floor. He was hitting his layups through contact. And when he got to the free throw line, he hit the 2 free throws that he had to hit. They don't win this game without Justin Taylor's contributions. He deserves nothing but credit. He was great. And I think we all hope that he can continue that. The ball was going in. And so maybe next game he'll have the confidence. Or maybe it wasn't necessarily a confidence thing. I don't want to say that he wasn't confident to take an outside shot on Saturday. Perhaps he wasn't asked to do that, and that's totally valid. But maybe next game he will try a couple three-pointers or some jump shots. Or maybe Syracuse will look to get him involved more on offense. We don't know. That's a Tuesday thing, right? That's Tuesday night. But it was definitely encouraging. I think we can all agree on that. And Coach Autry led off his press conference, aside from the first part that I said earlier, which was, that we need to play 40 minutes, right? But then he said right afterwards that he would take a bullet for a guy like Justin Taylor, who puts in the work and has had to deal with a ton of criticism, from myself included. He's had to deal with it this whole year, essentially. And on Saturday, he stepped up. He really did. And he deserves nothing but credit for it. Deserves nothing but credit. The question now is if he can continue that going forward. That's the $1 million question. That's the one where people are going to be like, so what do you think? And the classic answer is, well, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to continue it. I can tell you this, he won't be 100% from the field. He's not going to, go 10 for 10 in all likelihood. And if he does, I will clip this and I'll make sure to post it. And I'll expose myself for saying he won't go 10 for 10. But I think for now, we should just be happy that he showed not his potential, but that he showed his, what's the right wording for it? He stuck with it. He kept working, and he got rewarded on Saturday. That's what we should focus on. So Justin Taylor, as I said on Twitter, I'm mixing up Twitter and Taylor. As I said on Twitter, Justin Taylor deserves his flowers. He deserves his praise. He deserves some respect because Syracuse does not beat Notre Dame without his contributions. Period. Now, there was another cool thing during Saturday's game, or really it took place afterwards, and that was Jim Boeheim Day. The Orange honored Jim Boeheim, 47 years as Syracuse head coach. You guys all know this. 2003 national champion. 2 other times he's made the national title game. One of the greatest coaches in basketball history. That's right, basketball history, not just college basketball history, basketball. And he was honored on Saturday. And not to sound disrespectful, but I was like, okay, he's been honored a bunch. I understand. I don't like come at me here, but I was kind of like going into the game, I didn't really know what they were going to do. I was like, he's been honored a bunch. I don't know exactly what the plan is and how it's going to be cool and unique. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was really well done. They had Mike Tirico acting as the MC. It was pretty cool. And it was nice to see Coach Boeheim in the Dome again. And it's kind of funny that he's now a broadcaster and he used to really give it to broadcasters. It's funny he's now a media member now. Welcome, Coach Boeheim. It's good to have you on our side here. But it was definitely a cool experience to witness. And if you haven't seen it, it's on the Syracuse Orange YouTube channel, a full replay of the entire ceremony, so you guys can watch it there. I thought that it was really well done. They hung a banner for Coach Boeheim right above section 309, if I remember correctly. So that banner will now sit there for eternity. And Coach Boeheim, of course, he talked about Melo. He talked about Dave Bing. He poked fun at Joe Lunardi, which was really funny, and how Syracuse, despite what Lunardi says, is on the bubble, which I think is a conversation for a different day. And don't worry, I'll get right into that in future episodes. That was just a really funny moment. See, I really prepared well for the first two segments. And then with Boeheim, I just kind of said that I was going to kind of ad-lib it here. And the thing I keep coming back to is just kind of surreal and really cool. That's what it was. And it was just I'm kind of running out of words. Forgive me as I collect my thoughts on what exactly I want to say about the day. During the game, they had a ton of videos that were shown on the screen. It felt like every single timeout they had, off the just top of my head, I know they had Roy Williams, who was the coach of North Carolina for many years. Coach K, we all know Coach K, right? Coach Rick Pitino, also, remember him? And Coach Gino Auriemma, UConn women's basketball. They all shared their messages. Melo had a message as well during the game. I thought Syracuse did a really nice job, just overall. And again, I wasn't really expecting that much, to be completely honest with you guys. It's Coach Boeheim. The court is named after him already. He's already in the Ring of Honor. He's got everything there is in the sky. Sky is everywhere. So I'm just here to give him. This podcast is all about just giving praise to everyone, right? And thank goodness that Syracuse won the game, because had they blown it to Notre Dame and then the Jim Boeheim ceremony happened, that would have been really awkward. And here's where I stretch a little bit and I say, that's kind of funny, because Syracuse in the 2003 title game against Kansas led by, want to say 18 at one point in the first half, led by 18 and nearly blew it. Kansas came hard. Oh, they came hard. And Syracuse found a way to win. And guess what? We don't talk about them blowing the lead because they won the game. And it's so funny that that's basically, in a roundabout way, on Jim Boeheim Day, the way Syracuse pays homage to Boeheim is, we're going to lead by 29. We're going to lead by 29 to Notre Dame. And then we're going to nearly blow it, but not entirely blow it. We're going to give Notre Dame a chance to tie, just like the Kansas game, but it's not going to happen. And Syracuse is going to win, and we're all going to be happy. That was Boeheim Day. Pretty cool. And if you agree with that, that's a good comparison. I mean, I know it's not the same stakes. I mean, Syracuse is playing Notre Dame outside the top 140 in the net. Syracuse not on track right now to make the NCAA tournament, but who knows? Still might be possible. Compared to the national championship game in 2003. I understand it's a stretch. You can give me flack for it. I don't care. I'm a big boy. But I just thought it was a funny coincidence to me. I don't know if you guys maybe felt that way. So that is it for today's podcast here on Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer. I will leave in the description the Twitter for both myself and the Locked On Syracuse. Very active on there. You guys can get my thoughts before you watch or listen to this episode. So once again, really appreciate the support. Make sure you like and subscribe if you like this content, and take care, everyone.